Hey guys, in this video we got something fairly interesting to share with you today, and one of our viewers reached out to us, and we haven't done this before, and this is not a sponsored video, guys. But this guy makes parts for RCs, and he makes some parts for the Sledge, and he asked if we would test them for him. Now, we responded with, we can't be swayed by third party. If you're expecting certain results, we will not do this. We will be brutally honest every time, or we won't do it at all. If you look on the bench here, you'll see that Garage Life RC agreed. I wouldn't have it any other way, he says. So he sent us these. This is the new front bumper that they're building, and this one doesn't bind against the body, or so we're told. This is a very flexible wing mount, and if you take a look at it, it really is super flexible, and you know I'm a fan of flexibility, so we're gonna get this on there and test it. Keep in mind, we haven't broken the wing mount or the front bumper yet, so our stock ones are still holding up just fine. The green ones, he asked what color the car was. He gave me the green ones. He also sent the black ones, and the cool thing is I kind of like the look of these. So we're gonna install these today. We're gonna show you how those go on, see if they're difficult or easy. Then we're going to put a test on it and see how that holds up. Now, just to be fair, they make the Sledge in many colors, and he makes the parts in each color for each one, depending on what you're looking for. So it's Garage Life RC, and before you run out and buy some of these, let's get the tests underway first and see if they're worth the money. Besides doing that, we're also going to install a wheelie bar that Traxxas has put out for the Sledge now, and it really needed one of these guys. It really did. We'd installed a grab handle. This one has a grab handle built into it, so you'll be able to carry the car, which is real nice. But if you use the grab handle, it doesn't ever hit the ground, so it doesn't change the characteristics of the car. This one, the wheels will hit the ground, and it'll change how it works on the ground. So we'll see if that's an advantage as well. When I get the body up close, you're gonna see that there's a couple of holes in it and some dents in the front. I lost a fight with Pitbull, and I paid for it. He wiped out some tires, and it was just a little challenge between me and the guys, and I lost. It's just how it goes. The dog got a hold of it, and that was pretty much the end of things for the day for that car. So let's get it on the bench, and let's see how well that stuff goes in. We'll make our adjustments, and then we'll take it out and test it, and then at the end, we'll tell you what we really think of these new Garage Life RC parts for the Sledge. Check this out. Okay, so there's the build for the Sledge with the new parts on it, and we did run into a bit of a snag, and what it comes down to is this here and this. So this is the wheelie bar that comes from Traxxas, fits the car, and these are the new wing mounts. Now the wing mounts are a lot more sturdy. They're thicker and there's got a lot of weight and body to them, which is a good thing. It really is, but it's not compatible with this. In order to get this on there, you'd have to do basically some grinding to get it to fit in there, and I don't want to damage this. So we didn't install this. We went ahead and put the hand grip back on it so we could get a test on this. And actually this protects this a little bit. So the idea here is we're not going to use this. We'll switch it back and test this in a separate video, but for the most part, we're going to be able to land directly on this now because it won't have this for protection. So actually for the test, that makes a lot more sense. Still, the parts for the wing mount and the front bumper went on really smooth. There was no issues. There was a little misalignment on the front piece when I put the bumper on, but you just get the screw started and it went straight in. So it wasn't really a big deal. They just weren't aligned quite right, but close enough to get the job done. So that's okay. There's a lot more movement here on the rear wing now. You can twist and torque on it, and the wing itself has always been real flimsy and floppy, and I love that about it. It makes for a really good wing that doesn't rip and tear nearly as easily as the stiffer ones. I've trashed a lot of Arrma wings, and they're fairly flexible compared to some of the other ones, like some of the early Losis. Those were kind of brittle, and they'd snap off real easy, especially the ones on the DB XLE 2.0. This, on the other hand, nice and flexible. We're still on the original wing here, so with all we've done with this car, that's still amazing. Now with the new wing mount, we'll see how it holds up. It does marry up about 1/4 of an inch higher than the original wing mount set it, so there's a little something, if you take a look at it, there's a little something to grip here if you needed to grab it that didn't have that there before. I wouldn't recommend it. The wing's kind of light, and grabbing it there might actually bend the plastic. Other than that, there's only one issue that I'm kind of concerned with, and it's on the front here. And this will clear the factory body now. We did trim ours out, but if you don't trim it out, it shouldn't be able to bind on there since we don't have the factory body. As far as one that's not been modified, I really can't test that part. But still, it's basically sharp in the front now. And I'm not a fan of that. I like it being rounded up so there's some protection here, even if you just carve this sharp edge back a little bit to give it some blunt force here. If you catch something with that, you're basically hitting them with a plastic blade. And that, I think it's a little bit dangerous, guys. But at the same time, with just a small modification, you could be able to rectify that. There's only one thing left to do, guys. Let's take it out and test it and see how they hold up. against my feelings to do that. It's like when I did the Mojave. I didn't really like beating it to death either, but this is for a purpose, so... Yeah, I'm gonna fly off of this at full tilt and see what happens. See if I can land it right on the wing. Hell yeah! That ought to test it. There, that's a good... I almost had it back on its wheels. It was close. For those of you that don't think we test these hard enough, here comes another one. Okay guys, so that's the running footage for our test for the bumper and the wing mount, and we had a pretty good time doing it, but it's really awkward to go against all of your training and force a crash. What I'm concerned with on that is if I do it on the regular like that, it'll become habit and I don't want to do that. But for these particular videos, it's worth it to see if what you're paying for is what you get. And you know, the wing mount held up perfectly, but then again, keep in mind that even though we were driving this hard before, we still were unable to break the stock wing mount. Now, if you're breaking wing mounts, this one is a lot more flexible and it's a lot more burly. And I set up a little demonstration here for you so you can see the difference in these two. So these are the two hooked together. There's just a couple of bolts pushed through the bottom to get them aligned properly. And if you look, you can see the difference in girth between the two. Now, I hooked it to the blue one to give you some contrast so you can see the difference. So the stock one on this side is thinner and it's smaller and it's narrower, which allows it to keep the weight down if that's significant to you. This one does way more, and this is the new modified one, and it does look 3D printed. Regardless, it held up quite nicely. The alignment's good, but right in here, and I'll get you a close-up of this, but right in here you can see the difference between the width on this one and this one. And what that is this is wider. It's got some strengthening in the sides here. It's got some screw blocks down in here where you can connect in to allow some tighter plastic to thread into. So you're not really threading into the printed material here. There's actually a block down in there that you thread into, which is quite nice because it gives you some really good, bite with your threads. They also have nuts on these ones, which they're a little awkward to get in because they don't really push down in and hold good enough. You have to get a little pair of pliers in there to hold onto them, but it is doable. Other than that, the finish is pretty nice on it. I kind of like the little rib design that you get with 3D printing. I think it looks pretty slick. And it is a pretty good product as far as that goes. Again, we were unable to break them. They held up nicely, and I do like that 1/4 inch of elevation that it gives you on your wing mount. However, if you're going to use this, and this is what we're going for next, it's designed to fit the black ones, and see how much smaller that is. So basically, this should fit right over the top here like so. But the problem being, it hits the blue one where it doesn't hit the black one. So if they would take and just design this a little bit different to accept one of these, say in their next version, that would solve that problem. And that's really the only problem. I don't want to have to machine on one of these to get this in place, but I probably will because we know how. So we'll probably do that to get it fit for the next one. So to add this, you'll have to modify the blue one here, blue, black, red, whatever color you get, you'll have to modify this one to get that to fit. This has kind of a small connection point on it here. So this is already fairly slim. I wouldn't machine on this. I'd go for the bigger piece just to make it so you still have all the strength in the wheelie bar when you mount it, because you don't want any weakness in this. This is going to take all the brutal punishment when it lands on it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. On the front bumper, again, this is the stock one here. And if you'll notice, it's got a flat, straight up and down area here. This sits on the car like so. So this is actually flat. This is where the body keeps hooking over, is this piece. And the way they designed that one is it's just flat this way, which brings it out to a blade. Now, on a couple of impacts, and of course we did most of the heavy impacts on purpose just to see if these would hold up, but that blade has a tendency to dig when you hit the ground, where this will scurf. So it'll kind of hit at an angle like this and scurf over it and allow the front wheels to dig you out. So when you're coming down on your nose, it'll allow the front wheels to pull you out and get you back on your wheels, where the other one is more of a blade and it hatchets into the ground a little bit. It does stick out just a little bit farther, or so it appears, and so it hits the ground and the car will go over. So it'll go ass over tea kettle real quick because it'll dig into the ground a little bit. Now, with some wear on that, I could see that being easily solved as far as that goes. However, what they have on these is, if you look down in here, you can see the holes. Okay, this is the leading edge here. These are the holes. And there's not much space here between that cutting edge basically and the holes. So the holes, they give it some style, but you can't shave it back to make it flat on the front so it doesn't dig so much. The thing is, if you get the tires down first, and that's kind of why they do that with these, even the Creightons come this way, they come with a small bumper. And if you look at it from the side, like so, the bumper's back in here some, so the tires hit first, and when you come down in this direction, the tires hit first, which allows you to throttle up and get it to go like this. But when this stabs, it has a tendency to stub it over this direction. Not a huge deal for the most part. I still don't like the idea of potentially running into something or someone with a sharp edge on the front. I don't think that's a good thing, but if you're careful with your driving, that's not an issue anyway. So it's kind of a matter of how skilled are you and how skilled are the people around you to know to stay out of the way of things like this. That thing weighs quite a bit and it goes like crazy. It's a really fast car. It's a lot of fun. We did swap the fluid in the differential to keep the front end down a little bit more. It still stands up real easy. We're gonna tune that again. And in another video, we'll go over the tuning on the differential to get it to handle better, because right out of the box, it's just a straight wheelie monster. Also, with the grab handle on it, which is what we were forced to use on this one, the grab handle doesn't hit the ground, so it stands up and hits the actual wing mount. In this test, we did blow the wing apart, so we tore a part of it off on, see, this side. See how that's torn loose now? So it actually broke this. And we've had that same wing on it since we got the car, and it is crazy durable. However, when you're intentionally shoveling it in, something's gonna pay. And over repeated instances, that broke, and even on the back here. So let's get a little closer look on this for you. Right here, this piece broke. See how that is? So that's all broken. That tucks neatly under there. Still looks good, but it's no longer 100%. And on the back side right here, there's this really stiff bar that they send with the wing mounts. And this is a good thing because the other one was really thin and the bolts would pull through. On this one, it's thicker. So that in itself is a bonus. But so when it does this, let's see if we can get this. When it does that, it has now cracked it across here. And that takes a lot of repeated action to do that because this is so soft, so limber, that you can land it right on it. It deforms a little bit, pops right back into shape. I love this wing design. Really good. Now, here at the channel, we don't get into the politics of things as far as Arma, Creighton, Arma, Traxxas, Losi. It's business, guys. We stay out of that because we like the products only, and it doesn't matter who makes what. If there's a cool car out there, we want to see what it's like. So yes, this is Traxxas, and it's an amazing vehicle. They waited longer than the others to get this one out. And I often hear that this is Traxxas's version of the Creighton. Okay, it's in exactly the same class. That's true. It's the same thing. It's got basically the same size. It's got the same basic design with a few changes. But guys, they really beefed this one up. We haven't had to change any functioning parts on it. We changed the motor mount for convenience, because that's the type we like to have in it. But with Loctite and a proper cinch, the stock one does work. We haven't had to change any arms. And if you've watched any of the other videos with this car in it, we're not nice to this one. We really brutalize it good. We did break one part now that I think about it. This drive axle in the front. We came down a little bit hard one time under throttle, and it didn't break any of the plastic components. It snapped the drive shaft. So we changed these over and we put the heavier GPM ones in it. Hasn't been an issue since. So this is an amazing car. The bumper does work. I wish I had the other body for it so I could test it. This still hangs. So the body would be out in front of it like so. I don't know if I like that. I suppose with the body over that, it wouldn't be an issue. But if it sticks out front, it is a blade, guys. Is it worth the money? Now there's the question. Because it passed the tests. Did we break anything? No. Did we test it hard? Yes, we tested it as hard as we could. And we don't go to skate parks because you're gonna break something at a skate park. You're pounding onto concrete constantly and you hit edges, and it's just really, really hard on them. We run the way we would run them. So what you see on the video, when our group gets together and goes out, that's pretty much what we do. So without actually piling in and doing that kind of thing, that's how we run these cars. And if it holds up, it holds up. Now here's the thing. We can only tell you what we think of that. We don't watch the YouTube channels to see which one has problems and all that stuff. Each car is unique. So I may get one off the production line and I go to the store and pick them up just like everybody else does, guys. But my car, that one, handles a certain way for me, and the durability is super high. Now, whenever you mass produce something, invariably you're gonna find some that don't hold up because it's all in their inspection of the materials before they ship them. When you mass produce something, you get 10,000 of something, put them all in boxes, someone else puts them together, they run a quick test on it, see if it works, and ship it out the door. That's the way it works with all the companies. It's the quality control, you know, that you got to worry about here. Now, we got a good one because this one hasn't broken yet, and it's super tough. It really is. Out of the box, it's arguably one of the toughest RCs we have at the channel. No modifications, just out of the box, tough. And it really is one. Super fast. It could use some tuning to make it more controllable. So to get back to the original question, is the changeover on the wing mount and the changeover on the front worth it? You know, if you break wing mounts, if you have broken wing mounts, I would say yes. It's a good product, it does hold up, it's flexible, which I am a fan of. It's really beefy, and with some small modifications, you could probably get the wheelie bar on it, but out of the box, it will not fit with the wheelie bar, so that's something you'd have to decide, do you want to mod that or not? As far as the front bumper goes, you know, it holds up good. I had no problems with the stock one, and basically that was designed to prevent that body from hooking up in there and getting stuck. And that's one of the things that we're definitely having problems with right out of the box, because this one curls up, the body tucks behind it, this whole thing caves in, and it just looks like it's totaled. When all you gotta do is pop it back off. So that one, I see it solving that problem. I'm just not a fan of the sharp front edge, that's all. So is it worth it? Yes, but here's the thing. As always, this is something you have to decide for yourself. So there you go. Garage Life RC and their parts, they passed our tests. So hey guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's awesome when you do, and it lets us know how we're doing here at the channel. And don't forget that notification bell to stay informed of upcoming videos like this one. You know, we really enjoy testing this kind of stuff. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this isn't a sponsored video. The guy sent me some parts and said, hey dude, check it out, see what you think. I want your honest opinion. He hasn't seen this video. It's going right out the way it is because this is what we think and this is how we run our tests. So whether he likes it or he doesn't like it, this is the honest truth for what we did here. So now that that's being said, if you guys have any modifications in that department on the Traxxas Sledge, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below and help others along the way. Hey guys, I'm AJ with AJ Jam Studios saying, keep bashing guys.